My wife of 50 years old brought her lover, a young man, to live in our house. He was unfaithful to me. I've tried hard to make this work, but I can't do it anymore. Unless she does something huge to show her committal to our marriage, I will start the divorce process. It all started a year and a half ago. She had been a housewife for a decade. She wanted to pay off our house faster, so she got a job delivering pizzas. She was open about everything that happened there. It was a small pizzeria, so I met her co-workers. She had them over for dinner. Last year she talked me into letting one of them rent a room from us. She would make extra money. He would live in a better place. I knew him. It seemed like a win-win. I didn't think it would be a problem because my wife had shown herself to be trustworthy across our whole marriage, all 17 years of it. She's also nearing 50 and he's in his late 20s. He also is an immigrant saving up to bring his wife over. After 5 months, my wife suddenly moved out of the bedroom. She was sleeping in our spare room. That itself isn't suspicious. We prefer sleeping in different temperatures and my work shifts have me sleeping at odd hours, so we've slept in different rooms before. After a few days, I came home for lunch. My wife sat me down and said we had to talk. She told me that during the morning, our daughter, 12 years old, caught them kissing in the kitchen. I asked him if he had been intimate with him. He said yes. I told her I loved her very much and that there's something important in our marriage if we've been together for 17 years. She agreed to go to counseling with me. He moved out immediately and we started marriage counseling. She hated it and cried hysterically after each session. The counselor seemed off and didn't seem to understand what she was doing. I switched to a different counselor and he was great. But my wife refused to have more counseling. She hated the first one and refused to give someone else a try. So I attended alone with the other 1.5 times. This whole time, she refused to quit her job. I asked her, explaining that I'm not jealous or suspicious. I just fear continuing to work with him will prevent us from reconnecting and healing. She got angry and refused. She almost threw her phone at him, telling me to check her texting history if I don't trust her. She never quit. After a few months, we never seemed to move on or get back together. A cloud seemed to hang over us and I lived constantly with the uncertainty of our future. With my counselor's help, I kept proposing ideas to help us heal. One was to go on a vacation with just the two of us. She refused. By November I was thinking I might have exhausted all my options to heal. Me and my counselor agreed we couldn't do more together. I think he was hinting I should divorce. My father suggested to wait until after Christmas so I wouldn't put a dark cloud over the holiday. While this was happening, I snooped through her dresser, in the spare room where she was sleeping. I found a small stash of lingerie. It's not new, but she specifically moved it there. For the past few years, she hated wearing lingerie. I kept an eye on it, and it never moved. The exact position of each bra and panty was the same, so I'm confident she didn't even move it. I also snooped through her text history and didn't see anything suspicious. I kept an eye on it. It stayed motionless so long I almost stopped checking it. At the end of November, she left for some errands. I decided to check her dresser again and saw the lingerie was missing. Sometime after she returned, I checked the dresser and the lingerie was back. Around this time, I checked her text messages. Her entire history with him has been deleted. She didn't delete anyone else's. November to December, I thought a lot about divorce. I knew it was likely, but I wanted to make sure I didn't do the wrong thing. We have a daughter. We get along so well and it will be hard to meet someone with her traits again. 17 years. Maybe I was just working up the courage to leave her. At New Year's, the other man went back to his home country. She drove him to the airport and kept his car here. A few days later, she told me she thinks he wasn't actually on vacation, but to stay. She told me suspicious things he said. But as she talked, the things became strong and more obvious. So obvious it looked like she knew he was staying but was faking, just figuring it out. I checked her phone again and she had deleted her entire text history with him. Again. This week, she said his wife found out about the affair. My wife had tried communicating with him and his wife told her never to contact them again. I offered to email him to arrange disposal of his car, but she ignored me. Yesterday she told me she had tried multiple times to contact him and his wife texted and emailed her angry words and emojis. She doesn't seem to get it that she should stop. That was the final push for me. Not only does she not respect me, she doesn't respect his wife either. She seems to have no intention to stop her relationship with him and has done some highly suspicious things. I'm done. Not only have I tried everything to try and fix our marriage, not only have I been trying so hard to be a good husband before the affair, cleaning, help with our child, fixing things, touching without intimacy, and more, but I'm also done feeling this way. I've felt shock and fear. I frequently break out crying. I can never understand why she would cheat, keep cheating, hide things, and not try like hell to fix something she does value. I often break out shouting, "Why did you do it?" or "Why can't you just love me?" I'm sick of feeling this way. At one point, I considered just staying in marriage without caresses, without intimacy or love, because there's so much good in our relationship and we still get along really well. But I've come to see that I'll never move on if I live with her. The misery is invisible but ever present. I have to divorce to move on. I can't keep living with this anxiety and uncertainty. It's selfish and wrong of her to put me in this position. I want out. At least I've accomplished one thing, knowing I've done everything I can to save this once wonderful marriage. I thought of divorce once she confessed, but I didn't want to regret it years later. Now, I don't think I will. Divorce her and get your child out of that awful situation. That is disgusting that your wife would let her child catch her cheating and then continue to do it. She's selfish and it's doubtful she'll change. Good luck to you, OP. Please don't stay in a loveless marriage. Your child will learn from you and your soon-to-be ex-wife what a relationship should look like. OP, you're right. She's been awful and selfish. Our relationship no longer has love and I don't think she'll change. Hi you/Mike and Mike, I think you are making the right call. She knows she is hurting you, she knows she is doing something wrong, but she just doesn't care about you anymore. I am really sorry for you. But this is the only option left for you. Maybe a little warning would be in place. You need to be prepared when she is served. A lot of things can happen. One is she is totally fine with it and completely emotionless about it. Second is she could also start crying and begging you not to do it, saying she will quit and do anything to repair the marriage. Third is she will get very angry and calls you anything bad and hurtful thing she can think of. You need to be prepared for this. Do not fall for the crying and begging, stay on course. Remember, she did not care about your feelings while having the affair. OP, thank you for your advice. I don't know how she will react. The first 2 weeks after confessing, she was much like the first. She did feel sadness, but she was trying to be stoic. We discussed how we would divorce if it came to that. Now, I'm not sure how she'll act. I've seen all three from her. We'll see what happens. A word of advice: never stay in a relationship where you are treated like a doormat. You should have divorced her body a long time back and never tried marriage counseling with a cheater. She's having a midlife crisis. She forgot her duty as a wife and as a mother. So she could weep in her mess. Divorce her and move on. You're not her priority. You'll never be her priority. The only thing in her mind is that guy and it's driving her insane why he just left her. You're in the background. Have respect for yourself, kick her body out ASAP. She deserves to be cut off, she isn't a good person. The 17 years you keep mentioning is coping mechanism. Divorce her. Work on yourself, get yourself back together and focus on the love of your life, which is your daughter. No one respects a Mr. Nice Guy. You won't divorce her, you still want reconciliation. Just admit it. OP, I'll happily admit I want reconciliation. That would be the best option. It sure seems like that won't happen, right? If you think I won't divorce her, check for updates. Take OT from someone who has been cheated on and has forgave more than once. Don't ask, file the papers and hand them to her. Let her know it's not up for debate, she had her chance to show she wanted to be with you and fix thing. She did show you, she showed you she didn't want to do anything but what she was doing. With you trying so hard and her still not changing anything, in her mind, shows she can in fact have her cake and eat it too. I hate that saying. Have your cake and eat it too? You mean, hey, it's my cake, you just said so, why can't I eat it? I digress. If you can get any screenshots of messages, get some bank statements showing you are the more financial stable one, and hope that when it goes to court your daughter has no issues going against her mother. If she is okay with that, but don't push or try to force her. Sorry that you have been and are still going through this, my friend.